Today we're photo walking, but we are talking about color and composition, which are two things that feature very strongly in my work and I think are the most important things in photography. So I want to take you along and show you my process around that, and particularly focusing on how I use color to lead my composition. So a lot of people, when they're out on photo walks, they are looking for particular subjects, or they're thinking about the subject of the photo, whereas I am looking for color and I am using that to drive the decision-making behind the photos, rather than a traditional kind of, I want to photograph this tree or this house. So what it does is it opens up your world, which is great because it gives you more photo opportunities, and you can literally be anywhere to use this technique, I suppose. I have in the past done little challenges with myself that have been really useful and have led me to a style that I have now been kind of known for, I guess, of shooting things that are red, which isn't something I invented, obviously. But I think that an exercise where you just go out and shoot one color and look for one color is something that can be really helpful. I believe in constraints a lot, whether that's with gear or with a technique like the one color exercise. We'll come up with a better name for it. So today I am going to focus on all colors, but definitely use that as the driver for my images. And because we are focusing on color, I thought that I just had to use the D700 because of its color output, and rendering is just so amazing. So we are shooting digital today, not film. I absolutely love this camera. It's known as the legend, and rightly so, seeing the images that we've produced from it. It's obviously not the most compact camera, and it's not one that I'm reaching for all the time, as I like things to be simple, and I do think that this responds well to manual input. But in saying that, the color rendition is just so amazing, and someone who shoots film and is shooting film mainly for the color, this is such a good option. For me, as mainly a film shooter, I use a lot of Nikon cameras, Nikon SLRs like the F100, F60, F65, and the ergonomics and the functions and the placement of like the buttons and everything like that feels very similar. So I actually forget that I'm using a digital camera when I'm using this camera, which is, I think, what we're striving for if you are jumping over from film to digital or trying to replicate that experience to, give your back pocket a little bit of a break. This building behind me here is our local art centre gallery, and it's probably a bit of a cheat code with the colour because it's like obviously all over the building and baked in. So this isn't necessarily like what I'm talking about when I'm talking about looking for colour, because you can find colour literally everywhere in the most unexpected places and the most boring places. But we will start off with this very, very easy building that's super colourful. So here, obviously, I'm super drawn to the colour, like the green of the leaves, the blue of the building, and then just to kind of add in, there's like a shadow from a lamp, maybe. So this to me just feels like it's very low hanging fruit, easy, and it's like good to kind of get you started when you go out on a photo walk, to just like have a couple of things in the bag that you're feeling like good about. But we will walk around and make it more challenging, I promise. Here, again, I love the shape and like the texture of this plant. It's definitely something I photographed before, the way they fall against the wall. So this again feels super easy. My work is very like graphic, very flat, very minimal, clean. It's not always clean, but I do tend to go for that in my composition. So this feels very, in keeping with that. So I'm gonna get this shot. And I really like to work a scene as much as I can. Like, I don't want to take like one photo of something and just walk away if I can see that there's more there, especially with this style, because you can end up walking around for hours and hours and hours and not finish a roll of film or not get many shots. So I like to exhaust a scene and really come at it from all angles. I'm going to do two different compositions. That one, and then one that's kind of including the other leaves down the side of the building. And then maybe even like a closer up one here. as well. Awesome. Oh, so fun shooting digital, and then I go home and I can look at them straight away. I don't have to wait. Today I'm using the 60mm D series macro lens, which is amazing. And we bought this more for macro photography because we were doing a lot of product photography of like jewelry and perfume, and it's just nice to be able to like get super close to those things. But we found that it's really good for, you know, walk around stuff as well. And it's good in the fact that it's a tight crop, but it's not so tight like a 90mm lens that can be quite restricting and cut out a lot of options for you logistically with it. So yeah, I love this lens. It's amazing. It was a really good investment. This building is too easy, so I feel like we have to move and find something that's harder. So this building, I said, is my like local art gallery. They have like really awesome exhibitions here, and it's had a real revamp. So they've been putting a lot more money into it, which is really cool. And I did a workshop there last year for teenagers who were interested in visual arts, which felt really cool. It was my first time doing anything like that. And yeah, I just learnt so much. We did like a little zine making activity. So they would cut stuff out and made a zine, and then I showed them film cameras and negatives and my photography. And yeah, they were super interested. And one of the girls even had like a digicam. She had like a Canon, I can't remember what it was. But yeah, I thought that was cool that, you know, these like 15 to sort of 17-year-olds were interested in that. And they kind of thought film was like really, really, really old school, and they were more interested in like the digicam thing. So that made me feel very old. When it comes to finding things to photograph, I can always find something, and there's a lot of things out there, but I get very picky because I don't want it to be too easy. I don't want it to be too cliche. I want to have to work for it a little bit. So I love going to like an industrial estate or going around like the back of like restaurants, or just sort of like walking around in suburbs and finding things that have been left there that maybe aren't supposed to be there, as opposed to something like this bridge where obviously it's been intentionally painted blue and it's kind of there for the taking, and sort of lots of people would photograph it, I guess. It's kind of the same as when I go on holiday. I don't want to photograph any like landmarks. I want my photos to be like democratic, as in the way that they, like anyone could take these types of photos anywhere in the world, because those things exist everywhere, but making them look more abstract and more interesting than just an everyday object. And that's kind of always the goal for my photography and what I hope comes across. So I live in Australia, but I don't really want you to look at the photos and go, oh, that's definitely in Australia. I want you to think, oh, that could be anywhere, you know? I'd love to know what you guys think though. So yeah, drop a comment like while you're watching. Do you look for color, like subject? What's most important to you? Composition? Are you mainly thinking of like gear first and focal length? Because there's so many ingredients to a photo and to photography, and everyone kind of values those ingredients like differently. And I think that really comes across in the end result. So yeah, let me know what the first thing is you look for, or if this has changed the way that you think about it, and if you're gonna give the prioritizing color and composition a go. So this scene on the ground here is something that you would 100% just walk past and not really think of. So I immediately identified the like cat's eye, the lights on the ground. They're red. There's also a lot of symmetry, but it's all stemming from the fact that I found something red. I really like red in my photographs. So I'm going to use that to create a composition with the white lines on the ground. And yeah, it's fairly simple, like it's nothing, you know, extraordinary, but I think that simple can be really effective, and then using color to really like boost that up is a great way to get some cool shots. So coming at it from a few different angles, possibly. I'm trying to keep my shadow out, which is a little bit difficult sometimes. Okay, I think that's another one. Here is the blue of this like camper van, and there's also some shadow from the tree, which is creating like another layer of like texture and something interesting. So again, super simple, and something that's probably like on your street. If you just went outside right now, you would find stuff like this. So it's nothing, you know, groundbreaking, guys. By getting in really close like this, obviously you'll see the photo come up. I've just got like the road and the blue panel and the shadow, and it's made it look really abstract because I got so close to it. You can't tell what it is. So I feel like a lot of people would take this photo and they'd be like, oh, I need to like, you know, take the whole scene and show that it's a van. Whereas like, I don't really want that. And I think it makes it, you kind of cross over into like the art realm more when you can make something look abstract like that. Like that to me is the difference between just sort of photography and like art, I guess. We've hit the jackpot with some bins, Lucy Lumen special. So behind here, there's garbage bins lined up, and they've got like yellow and red lids. And this is great because yeah, it's just injecting a lot of color and vibrancy and I guess like fun into a normal scene that would otherwise be, I don't know, kind of quite boring. Like unless something is colorful, I'm kind of like not super interested in it. So let's see how we can make this work also with the texture of the wall. So what I'm saying here with this exercise is you have a point of focus because you know you're looking for color. So you're just out walking, you're looking for color, you find color, and then you build it out from there. So kind of like you're painting a picture where you know you're using red paint, but then you're like, oh, okay, this color looks good with this, or I'm gonna build up the texture, or I'm gonna add in another person into the painting. Like you just sort of build it out from there, and it gives you a point of focus when you go out and shoot, because like a focusless photographer, I think is the worst kind. You know what I mean? When you're out and you're like, I don't know, and then you're just kind of like taking photos of everything. Like that's just never gonna result in like strong work. That last few shots there, I've got like the texture of the wall, the yellow bin, and then the like green palm leaves. So by using color, I've then done like the rule of thirds, I guess, but without thinking about it and without being all like boring rules, you know, it just sort of happened naturally because color was the focal point of the composition, and then everything fell nicely around it. So that's kind of how it comes together in my head anyway, and I hope it's making sense. We've been walking for a little while and we haven't really found anything, and I'm like on the lookout, and I was just thinking how great it is because it really takes you outside of like what's going on in your life maybe and becomes like meditative, because then you can be focusing completely on something else and just not really be thinking about, you know, all your troubles. But here, this is in the shade, which isn't ideal, but I'm still gonna go for it because I love the yellow umbrella. Not really sure how it'll work in terms of focal length, because the closer I get, the less of the umbrella I'll see. And yeah, it's also someone's house, so it's always like, you know, but let's give it a go and see how it turns out. kind of maybe not as good as I thought it would be. Like the angle I want to get at, it's just not going to happen. So, but I took it anyway. And I think that, you know, if that wasn't there, it'd be a pretty boring shot. So yeah, can't win them all. This scene here is exactly what I was talking about, of that kind of like found object, I guess you'd call it. So I don't know like why this ironing board is here. It's obviously not meant to be here. I don't have to do anything to manipulate the scene, which is something I never do. Not that I'm against it. I like the thrill of like finding something like this. This is thrilling to me. I like to, you know, see these things in the world and know that they're there for me to be capturing. So let's give it a go. It's probably going to be pretty simple. Maybe do. This guy over here is like fully like turning around like, oh, what are they doing? Another kind of underrated, really obvious thing is the sky. And today is a lovely, what I call an ectar sky. It's a lovely blue sky. I'm fully aware that not everyone's got a blue sky all year round like we do. It's like winter right now. But yeah, this plant here is a great color, and then against the sky, it'll just look really good. And it's like very clean and just really pleasing. So I'm gonna get this shot. Okay, got it. I'm gonna sneak over the road and get a shot of another bin. The lid is up, so the red is kind of like looking really vibrant because it's got the sun coming through it. And yeah, I know it's a little bit of a kind of discrepancy about whether or not you should be like taking photos in front of people's houses and all those kind of things. I'm very bold and I don't mind doing it, and I don't mind if I get told off because it's just a photo. I'm not hurting anyone and there's not people in my photos. But it does make it hard when you're filming a YouTube video to do these. So I'm gonna go over there solo and then you'll see the photo pop up. I got it. Honestly, filming YouTube videos like out like this, like everyone is staring at us. Because they're like, why is that guy filming that girl taking a photo of a bin? It's like really awkward. I don't mind it, but it is quite stressful sometimes. So if you like these photo walk videos and you appreciate them, give the video a like and let me know to motivate me through this stressful, awkward process. I just ran around the back of some commercial buildings and some like restaurants and stuff and took a bunch of photos. Just didn't want to film to make it like more complicated. So we'll flash those up so you can see. I got a couple that I really liked, but yeah, most of them I wasn't like super sold on, but I'll wait until we see them edited. And speaking of which, we shoot everything in RAW and then apply my warm film preset, which is a Lightroom preset. It's available on my website. And because I normally shoot film for color, that's mainly why I shoot film. When I'm shooting digital, I really want to be able to get a similar kind of vibe with the colors, especially with the reds. So that's why we developed the film preset. And it's been really cool seeing people use it lately and post it on their stories, and they're finding like red things in their compositions and then tagging me. So please do that if you have the preset, and you can check it out below if you want to purchase it. LucyLumen.com. I have recently updated my website, so there's a bunch of stuff on there for you guys to go and have a look at. We've been walking around for a while now, so we'll probably go and get some food. I'm feeling a bit hungry. But to chat a little bit more about the D700. So we bought this camera because we were getting requests from clients for like faster turnarounds or just taking on jobs that weren't necessarily conducive to film, or like film wasn't necessary. So having this has been a huge game changer in that respect, just for like product shots. It's really, really good for portraits as well. Like we'll get requests for someone who just needs like a portrait of themselves for like a magazine interview or something like that. So this is perfect for that. So we'll flash up some photos from it so you can see more examples in different contexts of the D700, because I know it is a really popular camera and it has an amazing reputation. So that might help if you are trying to decide if this camera is right for you or you want to seek one out. We also own the D700, which is a crop sensor, and it produces like just a crispier, more high res, like kind of image. So for something, say if we did something with like a beautician who wants like a more clinical kind of look from her photos, that's maybe the camera that we would use for that. Whereas the D700 has a more like softer, more like filmic kind of look to it, which I much prefer. But it's obviously nice to have a lot of gear. But yeah, I definitely think this camera earns its name as the legend for sure. And it definitely still has a place in our kit. And yeah, we're all talking about how advanced cameras are getting, but we're all just looking back at these ones and, you know, seeing how capable and amazing they are even in 2024. I do my sort of camera reviews a little bit differently. This is kind of like a hybrid photo walk, talking about, you know, color and composition, but I'm also talking about the camera. And that's how I like to do it. But if you are wanting further kind of information about the D700, check out Ali from 1 Month 2 Cameras. She has an awesome video on this camera that will give you a lot of details and arm you with like everything you need to know to use it better, or whether you want to buy it or not. So check out her camera, check out her channel and all her cameras. She's amazing. So yeah, thanks Ali for everything you do.